All right. I think we can just about get started. Welcome, everyone, to another session celebrating and studying the release of Mr. Nehemiah Davis's new book, The Miracle Kit Behind the Power of Prayer, the mystic knowledge of manipulating the subtle cosmic energies of prana through prayer techniques. Last time we finished up chapter 6, and we had a bit of a discussion, an engaging discussion actually, after we finished the chapter. Today we'll pick up with chapter 7, and we'll continue on throughout the next few chapters. We will do, after we finish chapter 7, we'll do chapters 8, then 10 through 11. Then we'll have a final review and Q&A session. Then after we finish the review session for the remaining chapters, we will do chapter 9, which covers the actual mystic prayer technique separately in a in-person seminar. Some additional announcements. As per usual, we'll continue with our weekly 12 blessing services with the South Florida group, their society. That's every Thursday at 8 p.m. We have options to attend in person or via Zoom, and we'll also hold commemoration services following the same format at times and dates to be announced for their respective commemoration service. More information on that, you can find our MeetUp group. You can go to meetup.com, South Florida Society group, and you'll see where we announce our 12 blessing services and some of our commemorations, or we do it collectively as a group. All right. So let's open up today's session of reciting the prayer for spiritual workers. And then we'll move into the text. Prayer for spiritual workers. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their limitations, would smite me. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their weakness, would not heed me. Almighty God, I bless all those who, because of their ignorance, would defile you through me. And I ask, Almighty God, O wondrous power, that your strength may be given to me now, so that I might be fortified by this, so that I might go forward bravely into the world, and despite reception, send forth my love of thee throughout all races of man. Almighty God, give me the power and strength to rise above my karmic weakness, the deficiencies in the pattern of my evolution, so that I might evolve and become stronger, I, and even stronger, in thy everlasting light. O God, thy will be done. All right, once again, welcome everyone. So as we move through today's chapter or reading, I don't think we will finish the entirety of chapter 7 today. You are welcome to post any questions or comments you may have, be it relating to the material that we're covering, which with the chapter today, chapter 7, I believe it is, we'll start our investigation into consciousness. If I can find the right page. 139. All right, so chapter 7 is Sound is Consciousness Manifested, the four aspects of sound. So we'll start that today, but as we're going through the material, feel free to post any questions or comments that you may have, and we will be happy to answer them for you. Do try to keep your questions centered, if not around the materials being covered or prayer in general, then any metaphysical related subject is fine as well. So before we begin today's session, are there any questions or comments? If there is any issues with the broadcast, do let me know, either in the chat, and I'll try to remedy that for you, but hopefully you guys can hear and see everything all right. All right, if there are no questions, then let's go ahead and begin. Chapter 7. Sound is consciousness manifested. The four aspects of sound. The manifestation of consciousness. While Kundalini lays dormant at the base of the spine, the Muladhara chakra, its magnetic force or power is like vibrating tentacles that vibrates throughout the nadi system of man's subtler nervous system, which makes up the etheric body and helps to create the various levels of man's consciousness. The nadi system has three major types of nadis that transmit cosmic energies, kundalini, throughout man's subtler and gross bodies. These are the Pingala nadis, a positive flow of cosmic energies, the Ida nadis, a negative flow of cosmic energies, and the Sushumna nadis, which is the flow of both positive and negative cosmic energies. These nadis are located throughout the body. In fact, they are the subtle background of man's existence. The base of the spine chakra is the first state of self-consciousness for man. It is that state where man can say I or I am. It is that state of consciousness where man begins to build his own layers of positive or negative charged samskaras, which begins to shape and mold the auric bodies of man from his self-conscious state of thoughts and actions. Up until this time, the auric units or layers that make up this complex etheric subtler bodies have been impregnated with the base mental, animalistic, instinctive cravings and desires of its past samskaras, mental impressions or scars of previous incarnations. Now, with the dawning of the self-consciousness, the individual is no longer guided by the subconscious mind, the diva of the mental bodies. The subconscious mind will always follow the divine laws of God. This is the part of the animal kingdom that we call nature when we say nature is guiding the animal kingdom. In the animal kingdom, their goal is to reach the Muladhara chakra, which brings them to a self-conscious state. To them, the Muladhara chakra is what the Christ and crown chakra, Ajna chakra, and Sahasrara chakra are to us. In the Muladhara chakra, the consciousness of man begins his journey of evolution through living in a self-conscious state of being. In this self-conscious state, man also operates on a background of an unconscious state of mind and a subconscious state of mind, which takes care of all the involuntary complex functions. The subconscious mind operates on the background of the supraconscious mind. The Muladhara chakra is the first major chakra that man works through as a self-conscious being. Each major chakra along the spinal column region represents a specific realm of existence and level of consciousness. The base of the spine chakra, Muladhara chakra, is a level of consciousness where man was cut off from the lower animal world and the higher spiritual worlds. It is the middle passage, the end of animalistic existence and the beginning of a self-conscious existence. This plane of existence is where man emerges in the Mahamaya conscious existence, the great illusion, as an individual that is separated from the whole, the absolute or God. Kundalini is the primarily dormant life force within the body of mankind. It is that power laying deep within the base of the spine chakra, Muladhara chakra. This energy force is the primary life force of man's consciousness. The Tantric doctrines tell us that it is the microcosmic Shakti power within the human body. The Tantric philosophy describes this Shakti power as the power that the soul uses to form the great illusion, Mahamaya, of individual consciousness as it descends to the base point of consciousness. The root of man's existence, the Muladhara chakra, enlarges himself in the constant cycle of samsara, the wheel of rebirth. It is said that when the Shakti consciousness of mind and pranas, being driven by the will of the soul, reaches the root chakra, Muladhara chakra, it falls into a dormant energy configuration that is called Kundalini, that moves man's consciousness from the whole to the not whole. The effects of the dormant energy configuration is the loss of the omni awareness that the soul shared with the spirit, in a limited capacity, of course. This energy configuration of Kundalini Shakti is described as being in an energy pattern that resembles a 3.5 coiled serpent, which blocks the doorway to Sushumna. Sushumna is man's pathway or passageway to his higher and more expanded levels of consciousness. Sushumna is the inner channel of the spinal column where the bindus of the 6 major chakras along the spinal column resides. The higher consciousness can only be experienced by Kundalini rising and traveling through Sushumna and activating the various chakras that resides along the spinal column within Sushumna. Now, the action of this dormant energy configuration of Kundalini Shakti blocking the passageway to Sushumna activates and perpetuates the separation of the Shakti power. The separation of the Shakti power signifies man's limiting of conscious awareness. It is the whole becoming the not whole. It is the 5 elements splitting and manifesting its 2 opposite aspects. It is the 5 major pranas of subtler forces manifesting the 5 minor pranas of gross physical forces. It is the heat within the Shakti power manifesting itself as the Pingala Nadic force with positively charged subtle and gross energies. It is the cooling factor within the Shakti power manifesting itself as the Ida Nadic force, which with negatively charged subtle and gross energies. It is the magnetic energy that lies between these 2 opposite forces that holds mankind in a constant flux, not allowing him to see the true stillness of consciousness. This magnetic flux is the Maha Maya, the great illusion, that mankind lives and makes his being within. This subtle magnetic flux that lies between the positive and negative forces is the residue of consciousness that mankind strives to exist in life after life. This residue of consciousness forms out of the dormant state of Kundalini Shakti power, creating the separation of Shakti consciousness that brings into being a huge desire factor, which permeates throughout the manifested gross substances. This desire factor, or kama factor, molds the mind substance that ignites the basic consciousness of man to pull on either the positive charge Shakti power, male, or negative charge Shakti power, female. Now, the split of these pranas, cosmic energies, brought about a magnetic pull of these opposite forces. This magnetic pull can be described or recognized as the place where man's many desires and passions arise from. When the conscious awareness is split up into thousands of directions and narrowed down to a single level of awareness, a basic consciousness that gravitates towards either a positively charged energy flow, which is a male vehicle of expression, or negatively charged energy flow, which is a female vehicle of expression, is created. Once the soul uses these two as vehicles of expression, they have a huge magnetic attraction to each other that lasts for lifetimes. For countless reincarnation, mankind craves the opposite sex, not realizing that it is the great illusion, the Mahamaya, and that it is only the side effects of the I becoming the not I. This craving becomes a driving force of man's basic astral and physical existence. It is the sex impulse, the vital life force of the subtle level, and it is the vital life fluid on the physical level. Now, can you follow the logic? Man's true consciousness operates from a state of Shushumna, where the positive and negative flow of prana travels and operates in one direction. The illusion that comes over him when the soul encases itself in these various vehicles of expression stops him from realizing his true identity. The male and female sex impulse is the magnetic flux that came about from the Kundalini power going dormant, or the I, that is the soul operating through the Sushumna becoming not I, which is a split of consciousness, various chakra levels, operating through a chakra with the primal energy source that's either Pingala, a male energy, or Ida, a female energy. The great magnetic flux between the two is expressed as desire and passion for the opposite sex, which creates the huge distortion of mental substance that these desires fester and live in. Can you understand that within the body, the Pingala flow of force is primarily a vital flow of pranic energy, and the Ida flow of force is primarily a mental flow of energy? Therefore, neither force can be separated from the other because they totally depend on each other for their existence. Prana shadows mind, and mind shadows prana, because both are one and one is both. And their only real existence is the living fires of consciousness when it's expressed through Sushumna, when the positive and negative flow of prana travels and operates in one direction. The Sushumna Nadi is the meeting place of all three major qualities of energies that flows through the that flows through the physical and subtler bodies of man. It is here that the positive charged cosmic energy, pranic forces, and the negative charged cosmic energy forces join and travel in one direction with one purpose in the Sabda vibrational force to bring about higher states of consciousness. When this Pangalanodic force or Idonodic force join together, it manifests a third force, which is a neutral charged flow of energies called a Sushumna Nodic flow of cosmic energy. Stop. Okay, anatomy, I see your questions here, and I will get to them when we reach our next stopping point, which is at the next section header. Both Pingala and Ida Nadi energies travel around the major chakra system thousands of times. Each Nadic force travels from a different direction, right to left and left to right, north to south and south to north. As the Nadic forces move around the major chakras, it identifies 108 chakras, major chakras, minor chakras, and minute chakras. These visible and invisible chakras pull on these Nadic lines of force in order to mold and shape the different qualities of Shakti force within it. The Pingala nadis have a quality of a vital life force that distributes itself throughout the body. The Ida nadis have a quality of mind Shakti force that distributes itself throughout the body. The Sushumna nadi, which positions itself between the right Pingala and left Ida nadis, creates a straight line of force from the Muladhara chakra to the Sahasrara chakra. The Sushumna nadic flow of energy carries a Shakti quality of preservation of force of all cosmic energies. The Sushumna nadic line of force holds consciousness in manifestation on several planes, lokas of existence, allowing man to gain countless lifetimes of valued experience. It is said that the Sushumna Nadi has three inner channels that seem to compress all the qualities of the Shakti force of the Nadic and chakra system into one minute channel, which pushes upwards and forwards and opens the major chakras, giving tremendous power over the cosmic energies and mind energies, placing man's conscious awareness on a superconscious level. The first layer of the Nadic vibrations within the Sushumna Nadi is called the Vajra Nadi, a conduit inside the central channel that extends from the genital region to the head region. The Vajra is described as a hard diamond-like substance, but lustrous with the light and power of thunderbolts. It is said that this layer of Sushumna Nadis, the Vajra Nadi, is the place where the sexual energy Ojas connects with the brain. Ojas is the highest form of the base physical manifested energy in the human body, which is a concentrated form of semen. The second inner layer of the Sushumna Nadi is called the Tritra Nadi. The configuration of the Trita Nadic force is of a sattvic quality, a pure Shakti force or fire, Agni, sun, Surya, and moon, Chandra, at its highest level of equilibrium throughout every level of its channel. These three energy configurations are known as the three aspects of Sabda Brahma. Within the Tritra Nadi is the Brahma Nadi, where the pure cosmic energy of evolution flows as the power of Kundalini. It is the Kundalini power that travels through the Brahma Nadi, where all major chakras reside. As the Kundalini power passes through this channel, it opens each chakra that resides along this inner path of the Sushumna Brahma Nadi, which brings man from a limited conscious state to an expanded conscious state. Okay, so I have a couple of questions here. First question is how to know if we are ready to receive information from the universe or not, and if we are not capable of the information come, and if we're not capable, and if the information comes, are we not able to understand it? Is it right or not? Let me see if I understand your question. How to know if we are ready to receive information from the universe or not? Okay. And if we are not capable, if we're not capable, if the information still comes, can we also, we do not understand it. Is it right or not?
Well, all information is from the universe, so let's get that straight. You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, all information is from the universe. So so that everyone knows that everything comes from God. And the only thing we do is interpret the laws and order of things through science and through various other methods of observation. So if you receive information, then you were karmically placed there to receive that information. Now, there's the second thing is that, are you karmically capable of comprehending the full knowledge of that information? In most cases, it's yes and no. Yes, you comprehend a portion of it. No, you don't comprehend a portion of it, because there's layers of understanding and comprehension that everyone fight with. So you can have a glass of water and you know that that glass of water will quench your thirst, but do you really understand the science behind the glass of water and how important that glass of water is to you and your body and your surroundings and everything? You may not be aware of that type of information, but you are aware that when you do have a thirst, you need to take a drink of a glass of water. So information is received to you on the level of your consciousness, the level of the comprehension of your consciousness, which is directly connected to your karmic pattern, of how your karmic pattern is structured to allow you to take on lessons and trials and tribulation in this particular classroom of your life. And that's what the mystic knowledge tell us. Hope that answers your question.
Okay, the next question is, can you tell me more deeply about predetermining our thoughts and actions? And if we cannot predetermine our thoughts, then what should we do? What should we do, and what can we predetermine, and which thoughts and actions can we predetermine? Can you give an example? I think that's what his question, what he's trying to say. Yeah.
We, to some degree, we predetermine all our actions to some degree. The fact that you are here on this Zoom, you're predetermining your actions to be here. If you predetermine your actions in order to get to work or get to school. You predetermine your actions to eat a meal every day. So we predetermine our actions. So what the teachings tell us is to predetermine our actions so that we limit the negative things we do in life and increase the positive things we do in life for ourselves. That's one reason why you predetermine your actions. We live in the luxury of predetermined actions by our ancestors and our community. If we lived 150 years ago, we would not have a car that can drive us from point A to point B in record time. It's because someone predetermined the actions of every little component inside that car in order to give you 150 horsepower instead of just two horsepowers, a buggy and a horse, or a buggy and two horses. They found out a way to put a machine together to give us 150 to 200 horsepower engine so that we can move from one end of the county to the next and come back within hours instead of days. So that's predetermining your action. They also, society predetermine their actions to make sure that a child have at least 12 years of schooling in this country, and have a certain level of understanding and made opportunity to allow that child to go to college. That's predetermining actions for society. That's good and bad in certain cases, but it's overall, it's good because it advanced the comprehension of most people, allows them to have some level of comprehension. Other than years ago, 150, 200 years ago, that wasn't available to most people on Earth. And you had people living to 40 years of age and 60 years of age, not being able to read or write or deal with complex problems. So predetermining our actions is helping us to evolve. And you predetermine your actions in order to build positive karma, not necessarily negative karma. And that's one of the reasons why we talk about predetermining your actions. Hope that answers your question.
Okay. All right, Natalie, thank you for those questions. And again, anyone else, if you have any other questions or comments you would like to pose, you can feel free to post them in the chat, and I'll get to them. I have a chat window here next to me, but I'll read those questions as we stop periodically between sections. All right, so next we'll look at the nature of mantra. Mantra is sound vibrations presented to the human race as Sanskrit letters, words, and combinations of words, all expressing the will of God through its many names of God. All sounds come from the first spoken word, from the superior being, the absolute God. The Sanskrit alphabet is 50 bits of sound vibrations from the first spoken creative word. The Sanskrit language was reportedly used to design vehicles of expression for the soul. It is said that mantra is the language used by the soul to bring the chakra components into manifestation. Mantra is embodied sound vibrations that have fallen or sunk deep into the vortex centers of power that brought forward central and gross manifestations of Shakti. The Bindu, which is the spiritual germ of consciousness, the I am and the I, releases the nada wave that is pure soundless sound. This nada wave moves forward and manifests the Shakti power out of the Shiva state of pure consciousness. The supreme nada wave expresses itself as sabda, while manifesting the Shakti power into various forms and shapes of consciousness. After the Shakti is manifested, it falls into a samskara state of being that becomes embedded with the impressions of Shakti power signatures, mantras and seed mantras, on the jiva, which is the embodied consciousness within the chakra. These Shakti signatures brought about by Sabda Shakti, sound power, are described as the Sanskrit letters that express itself as bijas, petals, or seed mantras that are embedded in the chakras. In short, mantra is the mental impressions, samskaras, of the soul. When men intone these mantras or sound vibrations properly, it has a natural magnetic pull on these embedded Shakti power signatures within the chakra system. This is where the great power of mantra resides within man. Constant recitation of the mantra by man moves the embedded mantras, embedded Shakti power signatures, out of a state of samskara's consciousness into an active state of Shakti power. Then the power of mantra begins to live in the practitioner, and the mantra yogi acquires the power to shape and mold subtle and gross Shakti power at will through the expression of the mantra. This Shakti power, brought about by the soul releasing a sound vibration, moves to engross itself in order to build vehicles of expression that the soul consciousness can work through. This is done through sonic vibrations that produce synchronizing frequencies that organizes the mind substance and cosmic energies that to move forward to manifest the human structure. This is performed by the synchronized Shakti power traveling down through Sushumna, the subtle inner core of the spinal column, as a united Shakti power. The Shakti power reaches the equilibrium point at the end of its descent through Sushumna. This is where the Shakti power moves into a 3.5 energy configuration that brings about a dormant state of Shakti power, which is called Kundalini. This 3.5 coiled energy configuration blocks the doorway of Sushumna, creating a magnetic flux that forces Shakti to divide itself into a static Shakti force and a dynamic Shakti force. This is the point where the Shakti power moves from a whole state of being to a state where it becomes a not whole state of consciousness. At this level, the coiled Shakti is called Kundalini. It is here it releases the Pada sound that manifests itself into the 3 other aspects of sound that holds consciousness into manifestation. The Sanskrit sound vibrations that were used to formulate the frequencies of cosmic energies and mind substance through the points of consciousness, bindu, within the chakra systems, moved forward and created the etheric structures, levels of consciousness, mental bodies, subtler bodies, astral bodies, and the physical body. Therefore, all Sanskrit mantra represents the consciousness of man and has the unique ability to shape and mold mind substance, prana, and matter. Okay, let me pause here, see if there are any questions or comments. Okay, I don't see any yet. Right, so then I'll continue. Oh, wait, hold on. All right, there's a question here, a bit of a personal one. The question reads, how to forget my girlfriend who betrayed me? Is it due to my past life karma or something else? And I cannot forget her. And why can I not, why after 2 years I still cannot forget her? Yeah.
Everything is due to karma, and that might be just a lesson that you have to learn and something you have to go through and work out. And in my opinion, so it's best to always take the high road and make sure that your feelings are pure and not selfish and not and that you're not dragging yourself down or that person down by constantly thinking about them. It's always good to purify your thoughts and uh, and don't linger in sorrow, but raise the energy vibration of your thoughts. And if you feel that you are going into a negative state of thought, then think of something positive or something good about that person and send that energy back out to that person. Uh, in your thoughts. And also remember, which we probably go into later, samskaras. If you had every relationship, every little thing you ever did in your life is embedded in your aura of this life and many other lives, that those things that have uh, impact your life in some type of way, it leaves what's called samskaras, or subtle scars within your aura. And a, a, a sound, which is music or a person's voice or a surrounding, can bring those either good or bad samskaras back to the surface of your aura, into your conscious memory, and it can create certain feelings, desires, or whatever. So you have to be careful about these things and try to control those things, because it can take over your present moment or life. So that's another way of predetermining your actions, by not allowing these things to happen. And some of the great yogi swamis and masters have told us to, when they do come, focus on the good events of that memory or person or thing. And in other words, when you do that, you raise the vibrations of that particular thing, and then release it. Don't allow it to bring you down to a saddened or emotional state. I hope that answers your question.
Okay. Is there any more questions? Kundalini, a vehicle of consciousness. Kundalini is a pure sound vibration, which is an aspect of the conscious will of God being expressed as Shakti consciousness. It also represents the true manifested consciousness of the soul. Therefore, Kundalini shapes and molds mind substance and pure cosmic energies, Shakti. Now, let me say that mantra is a power source, a sacred power source. Now, what does this mean? Mantra is a sound vibration which is manifested. Oh, sorry. Mantra is a sound vibration which is a manifested form of Shakti power invoked by consciousness and can be harnessed to be used for good or bad. Just as Kundalini is a form of consciousness manifested as sound and light, all three aspects of which are inseparable. It is also the one source of power. However, it is also subject to be used for good or bad. Mantra is manifested by and through consciousness as sound. To understand this, we must have some knowledge of the science and philosophy behind mantra. The Sanskrit letters represents unmanifested sound, potential sound, or the potential desire to manifest sound. When the Sanskrit letters form a word, tada, it becomes an expressed conscious will and an aspect of manifested conscious will. When the Sanskrit words form a sentence, vakya, it is bringing into manifestation the conscious will on several planes of existence as a wave of conscious energies permeating the realms of existence as embodied consciousness in the form of solidified light. Mantra, sabda, is the initial power that brought the all-pervasive mind substance and cosmic energies out of a static state of endless potential, bringing about creation as we know it. This mind substance and cosmic energies, or Shakti power, used the wave of sound vibrations to move into the perpetual motion that brought about a chain reaction of modifications. This initial sound vibration creates the sabda waves through the universe, which is absolute sound, unmanifested and manifested. What is sabda, or this absolute sound? In the ancient tantric Shakti doctrines, we can see that akasha is noted to be etheric sound and is the carrying agents for all other Shakti tattvic forces. Akasha is the all-pervading force of Shakti, and all manifested Shakti uses Akasha to form and shape all objects, subtle and gross. This sabda is lettered sound and unlettered sound. Lettered sound is composed of words, pada, and sentences, vakya. Such sound as this has a deep meaning, with a tremendous power of shaping and molding mind substance and cosmic energies. This type of sabda, manifesting as speech, is eternal and springs out as the background power to all things. As John Woodruff in his book, The Serpent Power, stated, it existed before as it exists after. Such manifestation, just as a jar in a dark room, which is revealed by a flash of lightning, is not then produced, nor does it cease to exist on its ceasing to be perceived the disappearance of its manifester, the lightning. This lettered sound as speech can only be considered eternal when it rings from and before its first initial spoken word or components of the initial spoken word that brought forth creation. The Shakti power was brought into active manifestation by sound, and it makes modifications to creation by sound as well. Unlettered sound is the instrument used to bring forth the lettered sound conscious will or embodied consciousness, jiva. The embodied consciousness is an involved life stream or an engrossed soul that has positioned itself on the path of evolution to gain thousands of karmic experiences as it throws off its engrossed involved material from life to life. The soul uses this wave of sabda sound power to move to and through involution and evolution. Later, I will go deeper into this part of the Mantra Sastra knowledge. In describing the nature of sabda, it in its various forms and modification that occurs through the all-pervading universal mind substance and the all-pervasive cosmic energies, Shakti, we must examine the potential of this power, the manifested state of this power, and the state of consciousness it leaves from every modification. This wave of Sabda is the supreme conscious will of the Absolute, God. It is this power sound that stood as the potential will of the divine architect. The unique ability of this initial para sound Sabda is its ability to shape and mold the power of universal mind and cosmic energies, which are the main ingredients of creation. Is there any questions? The four aspects of para sound. The para sound is a differentiation force, which is a united Shakti force of one consciousness, which moves forward into a Shakti force of many parts before actual manifestation. This para sound is a motionless, casual sabda, absolute sound, power. The para sound exists within and is a part of the dormant state of Kundalini, a vehicle of consciousness of man within the Muladhara chakra at the base of the spine. The soul uses the power of the Logos of earth in order to manifest the power of Kundalini. The soul follows the karmic law, which requires that all life streams of this earth must pass through the flame of the logos of earth in order to enter the wheel of rebirth, samsara, on the realms of earth. Pastyanti sound. I guess so. Yeah, okay, I guess that makes sense. Pastyanti sound. The aspect of this Pada sound that commences the movements take on a conscious power signature of the Pastyanti sound. This wave of dormant conscious Sabda Shakti extends itself from the Muladhara chakra to the Manipura chakra, the navel center or solar plexus center. This aspect of sound, Zapta, is the first movement of the I consciousness, and this consciousness, or the whole consciousness, that became many aspects of consciousness. The Shakti sound is a motionless force that represents the first movement. It brings universal mind and cosmic energies into active manifestation. This aspect of Sabda consciousness is often described as Ishvara, a name given to a manifested state of modified consciousness that extends from the universal consciousness. Madhyama sound. The third aspect of Sabda consciousness is called Madhyama sound, which is Sabda power that demonstrates the cognitive aspect of mental movement. This initial power of sound consciousness continues its journey by modifying itself from the Pashyanti sound located at the solar plexus center, Manipura chakra, into the heart center, Anahata chakra, giving inner meaning to its movement. It is here where the naming of this Sabda power occurs. It is here where this sound power manifests its ability to mold mind and cosmic energy into shapes by forming the subtle bodies of man. This wave of consciousness can be easily seen in the physical body of man. We can actually say that there is a network or matrix of sound that extends from the physical heart in a series of sound vibrations that pumps the oxygenated red blood cells throughout the body while pulling the depleted oxygenated blood cells into the lungs to be oxygenated again. Before this Madhyama sound appears, there is no outer form or object. Then the supreme conscious will, in a manifested state of Pashyanti, modifies itself as the inner Madhyama sound and is projected into the world as a sensual experience, which moves forward as the final sound aspect of consciousness, which is Vaikhari sound. All right, next is Vaikhari sound. Then after this, I will uh, pause for any questions. Vaikhari sound. The Vaikhari sound is the fourth aspect of sound. This wave of Vaikhari sound represents the gross aspect of consciousness as gross speech and gross physical body. This Sabda Shakti force is located in the throat center, the Vishuddha chakra. The Vaikhari Sabda is the corresponding gross aspect of the subtler forms extending from the Madhyama mental configuration. We can see these powerful forces at play in a true analysis of gross spoken speech. Spoken speech is a physical vehicle for thought. Organized thought is a subtler form of sound that resides in the inner subtle realms of man's mind. Coherent, gross, audible sound that expresses itself with words that make sentences to convey messages outside of the mental framework of your inner thoughts is the vehicle that subtle sound uses to project its subtle forms to the gross realms of existence. Sound represents organized movement. All movement has a point of origin and a destination point. Before the start of this movement, there had to be an idea or concept which can be considered subtle motionless movement. Before the thought formation of the manifestation of that idea, pada sound, or the absolute potential of sound. This idea or concept acts as a point of consciousness, a power source of all potential that energizes mind and pranic forces into a definite form or shape. These energetic mental forms muscle themselves through the wave of the all-pervasive mind substance and cosmic energies, modifying these subtle particles into denser forms of matter, all through the power of sound. Therefore, sound is consciousness, and consciousness is subtle sound expressing itself as mental thought forms. These are the mental thought forms which are the subtle sounds that express itself as audible sound in the form of spoken language, which can be described by words and sentences. Uttered speech is the manifestation of the inner naming of mental thought forms. Oh, and we're done. So again, we did make it through chapter 7 today. All right, so a question here is, I am a student of engineering. Can I use the 8 limbs of yoga and Raja Yoga until for the great result in my academic career? Can you give me some advice or techniques?
The 8 limbs of yoga can be used for any field of study, and it's actually scientifically, what do they call it? The when scientific method of operation,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah, the scientific method, yeah.
Yeah, because that's what it actually is. And I don't know what to say. I mean, is if you have a subject, then the first limb is yama, where you control your thoughts and actions. So by doing that, you create a regiment for yourself. I think when I went to college, uh, 40 years ago, it was we took a class that actually taught us how, I don't know if they still do that. They took a class to teach us how to acclimate ourselves to the college living. And one of the things that I remember is that they said for every class, for every 1 hour of class, make sure you have 3 hours of study. That's a regimen. So when we went to school, when we went to our college classes, we had to pull out our planners. I guess today you have a phone that has a planner inside of it. You pull that out, and for every class you have, you allot 3 hours of study for yourself on that subject. So actually, that's what the 8 limbs of yoga is doing for you. Is telling you to create a regimen, and yama is control, is constraint or control. Control your thoughts and your actions so that you can move to the next level, which is observing God in everything. Realize that the things that you're studying, the experience that you're having, is divine, and that is only going to enrich the inner part of you, because all knowledge is God knowledge, and you have to be able to have discrimination to know what's nourishing for you and what's not. And that's why you need restraint at the beginning, so that when you study the things outside of you, you want those things that's going to push you forward not pull you back. So then the next thing the next lesson in the limbs of yoga is asana, right?
Yeah.
It's the seats of power, right?
Yes.
It's the seats of power. And in that is another form of restraint, but it's a sacred, it becomes sacred now, because now you have control your thoughts, you have control your actions by creating a time, a schedule. You have karmically manipulated your karma to allot for time to observe God and to develop your body as a greater body or greater instrument for the soul and spirit, through the recognition of God and through niyama, because niyama is the second limb, and then asana is the third limb. So now you learn to sit still or position yourself to receive energy, because there's multiple mudras in asana, because asana is a mudra to receive this great power and wisdom of God. And then the next limb is pranayama, where now that you're receiving this energy and knowledge, now you have to manipulate it. You have to know how to manipulate your breath, number one, because your breath is the greatest amount of energy you receive on a daily basis. You receive 21,600 breaths a day. So you learn how to manipulate your breath in order to maintain the highest level of consciousness and attitude of consciousness by manipulating this breath. So you study pranayama for that. You study rhythmic breath, which is first you have to study complete breath, knowing how to complete your breath, and rhythmic breath after that, and then retention of breath, and then manipulation of breath. So and that leads you into manipulating the subtle energies of karma. Also, the next level of energy you take in is water. So you have to understand the properties of water, how much water you need in and out of your body. The same way you have breath in and out of your body. Then the next level of energy that goes along with pranayama, because pranayama is hatha yoga, is hatha yoga and kundalini yoga. So the next thing you do is the manipulation of food, the food intake. What's the best foods to take in, and what's the best foods to stay away from? And you have to study that. And then the fifth limb of yoga is pratyahara, which is withdrawing the senses to be able to look and study those things that you wish to learn and become a part of you. That knowledge you want a part of you. You take time out where you sit in the silence and close out the outer world. So you withdraw your sight in, you withdraw your sound, your smell. You go into the mental world in order to study that object or subject by withdrawing your senses from the outer world. Because the outer world has so many extractions. It's thousands and thousands and thousands of things impact your body on a daily basis. So you have to learn to move your consciousness within you in order to completely study something in the proper way. And once you can use a technique, there's several techniques you can use to do this. And I will refer you back to back to contact your higher self through yoga, and also Science of Breath by Yoga Ramacharaka. Contact Your Higher Self Through Yoga is by Dr. George King. And also on the Raja Yoga book by Swami Vivekananda. So, and then another, if you want a deep study the book Serpent Power by Sir Arthur Avalon. But then you go into concentration. Concentration is once you can move your consciousness inside or your senses inside, then you want to learn to concentrate, deeply, where you center all your thoughts on that one subject that you're attempting to learn about, and you just think about that one thing. You take the subject or object and you just think about that one thing, with your senses withdrawing from the world, because you have entered the mental world. And concentration is channeling your thought down one single thought, one single subject. And then once you do that for a while, your concentration will turn into what's called contemplation. And what happens, when you withdraw the senses, when you do the yama, niyama, the asana, and the breath, control the breath, and the pratyahara, and then now you're concentrating, what happens is that your concentration turns into a magnetic pull on the mental world. And when it turns into a magnetic pull, you enter into the level of contemplation. And when you enter into this level of contemplation, then you begin to see visions. You begin to hear things, you begin to see things, you begin to project from the body in order to examine things at a greater level. You begin to do what they call samskara, or samyama, on a particular object or subject or whatever, where you can see multiple levels of consciousness and realms and how that particular thing function on different planes of existence. And you begin to see the laws of karma and the impact of energy and atmosphere on that particular thing or subject or whatever you're trying to study. And then once you can go into deep contemplation, you can begin to control the forces within the body. You can begin to control the energy and the direction the energy is going to move in the body and out the body. And then you can literally take control over the energy within the nadis. And you can push those energies down through the nadis, down into the Muladhara chakra, where your self-consciousness is. And you can dissolve that self-consciousness and push through the Shushumna Nati, the Brahma Nati, and you can raise the power of Kundalini with all the Nadi energy within the body by bringing it back down to the Muladhara and pushing this energy direct up through the Shushumna, and you can open the chakras, the first chakra, and the second chakra, and you can begin to examine things in a pure manner by becoming one with that thing that you are examining. And that's meditation. That's true meditation. So those are the limbs of yoga. The last three is concentration, contemplation, and meditation. So it's a scientific method given to us thousands of years ago by the Lord Patanjali through his sutras, the Sutras of Patanjali, which was later given to us through one of the Upanishads as the 8 limbs of yoga. And that is the 8 limbs of yoga. And that's how you can do it. It's a way to study and master anything. And some people call it the royal yoga, or the king yoga, because of that. Because it uses all the yogas. If you examine what I just said, you'll see that it uses Jnana yoga, Karma yoga, Bhatha yoga, Raja yoga, Hatha yoga, Mantra yoga, Mudra yoga, Kriya yoga, Tantra yoga, and Kundalini yoga. And then it gets into Lara yoga. It uses all those yogas in that one technique of 8 limbs of yoga. I hope that answers your question.
Okay. I have a kind of a question following up with that too. Then, so say throughout like the solar system and other planets and other the galaxy and so forth, what, generally speaking, what is the proper way of learning and growing in knowledge and experience? Is it raising of the consciousness to access higher and higher levels of mind and entering meditation and then coming out of that and going through experience with learning whatever particular craft you're trying to learn? Is that the way that it's generally done on other worlds? Or is there a need to study like in the way that we study on this planet?
Well, they don't study necessarily the way we study, and yet they do study the way we study, but in a more advanced way from what we understand. Because once you can turn the mind and the body into an instrument of observation and study, then you are connected to the for lack of words, to the internet of the universe.
Hmm.
So now, only thing man did with the internet is they copied uh, what the ancient people called their cassette records. Uh, they copied that by creating a library online that you can tap into with your phone, computer, tablet, or whatever. You know, if you need information, you can Google it, you can Bing it, you can whatever it, so that's all they did. But if you go back to the ancient teachings, they talk about this thousands of years ago, that you can tap into this all knowledge space within the Bindu,
Hmm.
within the point of consciousness of any chakra. And everything you need to know is that. Now, we understand that once you become an ascended master and you can leave this earth and you can live in other planets, other solar systems, other whatever, you still doing that. You still using your mind or your chakra system, because the chakra system is it's a realm of consciousness that extend throughout the whole galaxy and universe. That's what it
Hmm.
is.
Hmm.
Chakra system connects you to the universe. So that's a stream of energy that's flowing through you that you're not aware of. And it has energy and power. It has knowledge and power and everything you ever need. You're actually connected to that. So in a cosmic master, or what they say in the ancient times, a bodhisattva, he or she can live, they grow by moving Kundalini up and down through their chakras, through their mind, by splitting their body up, by collecting information, uh, in multiple places at one time,
Hmm.
or by just expanding their mind and connecting the mind to multiple realms of existence. You know, it's multiple ways that they can gain this information. You know, they are not limited the way we are, because as Dr. George King explained in his in the book Nine Freedoms, when he talked about the masters, the Saturnarians, they can split their consciousness up into 1,800 parts, and some of them can double it to 3,000 parts.
Mm-hmm.
They can live in 3,000 different bodies on 3,000 different planets if they wanted to, or realms of existence. So that they can gain experience on multiple levels, and also act as a devatar on multiple levels,
Mm-hmm.
helping individuals that's lower in consciousness than them. And these things was given to us thousands of years ago. We just didn't understand it.
Mm. So let's say I wanted to gain a deep understanding and learn, let's say, meteorology, for example.
Mhm.
Um, would I don't want to say the best way, but the proper way to do that would be to raise my consciousness and commune with the divas of the clouds in the sky directly, and learn from nature itself. Is that would be the
Well,
proper way to?
you study what's available to you here on the physical plane, and
Hmm.
you take it to the mental plane and study it there.
Okay. Hmm.
So you collect as much knowledge you can around you on this physical plane, and then you take it into the mental planes through the process I just described,
Hmm. Hmm.
until you can see more than what's there. See, so it's different. Gravity here and gravity on the etheric plane. There's gravity on the etheric plane, but gravity works different than what it do on this physical plane. You understand?
Yes. Hmm.
Yeah, it's still there. It still exists, but it works on a higher property. On the astral planes, the same thing. Gravity is there. It works a little different. You can manipulate it quicker and faster because of the type of body instrument you're working through.
Hmm.
So you want to study that. The same thing with meteorology is different on each realm of existence. As you go down to the lower realms, you'll notice that the light is not the light is not as light as it is here. I mean, is it as it is on the higher planes,
Hmm.
and even here, is different. And the energy, the auras are different too. The molecules align themselves differently. So those are things. So you want to study something on multiple realms of existence so you can understand the nature of it. I mean, the scientists, the metaphysical scientists have told us decades ago that they noticed that astral materia, the subtle astral, the molecules of subtle physical astral materia, uh, they they're closer together, so they utilize more energy,
Hmm.
right? Now scientists are learning how to take glass and manipulate the cells or the molecules of the glass by bringing them closer and leaving a very little space in there, and they can collect more sunlight through solar panel glass. Same science that was told to us, decades ago, hundreds of years ago, that was told to us. So it's by bringing that knowledge from the astral world to the physical world, it allowed greater technology on the physical world. So when you study things, you got to study it on multiple levels so that you can see those things and manipulate those things to your benefit or to our benefit.
Okay, I understand. All right, so are there any other questions or comments? I don't want to start chapter 8 today. I want to leave that for next time. Um, so we'll have to. And if there are no further questions, then I guess we could end a few minutes early today. Yeah, so next time we'll do chapter 8, and then we'll skip chapter 9, which is the mystic prayer technique, and move into chapter 10. Chapter 9 is a good length, about several. Let me see how many pages is chapter 9. I think that's 12, 15 pages. Yeah, so that should be okay for a workshop. All right. All right, so if there are no further questions or comments, let's close out today's session. We're starting a new Lord's Prayer. But if you do have any additional comments or questions, you're free to feel free to email them to us. Mystic Knowledge Center, all one word, at gmail.com. And we can answer your questions either privately via email, or if you're okay with us answering them publicly in a subsequent session, you can give us permission and we will answer them in the next session. If everything goes well, our next session should be October 6th, Sunday, October 6th. That's next Sunday. All right. Yeah. No other questions, and let's go ahead and close out today's session. The New Lord's Prayer. O divine and wondrous Spirit, O everlasting Lord of hosts, send forth now through me thy great and lasting power. Allow me, Almighty God, the lasting privilege of radiating to all the world thy great love, so that those who suffer may be given the power and energy to rise above their weaknesses. Almighty God, in great humility do I ask you to send forth your power, to give to me this great lasting privilege of being a channel, so that my suffering brothers may be helped and guided and healed and lifted into thy light, so that they who know not may look up and in doing so receive through their higher selves your divine counsel. Almighty God, this day have you granted me a divine privilege. I ask you now to give to me the strength so that never again will I turn from my inner vision of you. O great peace, great peace, great peace. In praise of your greatness, O God, doth my soul sing. Grant it energy to sing on forever and forever. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for your kind attendance and participation. Again, if you have any further questions or comments, feel free to send us an email at Mystic Knowledge Center, all one word, at gmail.com. And thanks again, and we'll see you next time. Have a wonderful week.